Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here once again with some more awesome history and kind of geography. Woohoo! Uh, I kind of done like pretty much all the geography now videos, except for obviously waiting for more to be released, and we'll do those as they are. Uh, but yeah, new channel. I was kind of looking. I've done this channel in a collaboration before. Like, I'm not sure, but I looked through like a lot of cool stuff. Well, we'll see if I have copyright issues or whatnot. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna check this out because it's not all like war series. They're all like kind of one-offs, and they're not really all war. Which I was kind of looking for something to kind of offset, doing Kings in general, which is like a lot of war stuff. So I was kind of looking for something, just a little different, more geography or, more one-offs, kind of different kind of videos from that. So we're gonna check this out and see how this goes. Pretty much the first time I'm doing. I think I did a collab, but I'm not sure. But anyways, let's check it out, guys. Why wasn't Portugal conquered by Spain? Which I always thought the same thing, when you look at a map, you're like, why didn't Spain just, move west and just take it all? Like, why did they leave that part of that peninsula and let Portugal have it? Because you seem like Spain just had all the power, they're bigger and stronger, but apparently Portugal, man, they fighting back. They ain't letting no one take their land. So, anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. And let's see how exactly this kind of went down, or why. I wonder if they tried over the years to take Portugal, or maybe they just cool, you guys can have it. I wonder if they actually tried a lot. I don't know. We'll find out though. But yeah, like and subscribe, and let's check this out. Dun, dun. Anyways, guys, like I said, new channel, so definitely check out Knowledgia. I can't pronounce it. But yeah, definitely subscribe to them. And yeah, let's do this. Sorry, I'm gonna make sure I shout them out first time I'm doing them and everything, right? See how they they do their kind of content.
Even if both Portugal and Spain were part of a union at some point, and even if Spain invaded Portugal during the Napoleonic period, the Portuguese lands weren't practically conquered and annexed into the Spanish kingdom. The single mainland
Okay, just from if I remember correctly, isn't there like maybe a big mountain range down here where you can't just move over, where maybe you have to come from the north and take it all that way? I think I remember something like that. Maybe during the Napoleonic War series I did, which definitely check that one out too. But anyways, I think so. Am I volume all the way up? Not quite.
lands weren't practically conquered and annexed into the Spanish kingdom. The single mainland neighbor of Portugal is Spain, a much larger country. Some centuries ago, Spain was one of the biggest powers of the world, expanding itself in the New World and in Asia, having large overseas colonies guarded by its incredible armies and navies. Considering their former
True, considering I just did the Mayans and the Incas and the Aztecs, and Spain was kicking butt all over the place over there. So once again, check those videos out. It really shows you the power of Spain, how far they reached. But I know, sorry guys, you're new to this channel. I end up pausing a lot to try to give my 2 cents.
overseas colonies guarded by its incredible armies and navies. Considering their former power, and having a smaller neighbor cornered at the Atlantic coast, we may ask, why wasn't Portugal conquered by Spain? We have to go through some history to answer that. The Iberian Peninsula was known as Hispania, a name given by the Romans. However, after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the territory was lost to the tribe of Visigoths, which ended up ruling the whole peninsula, but this was temporary. Their new home will be conquered in the next period by a new force emerging far away. Starting as a religious movement in the hot desert of Arabia, Islam spread rapidly, mainly due to the early military successes against Eastern Romans and Persians. Arab dynasties expanded more and more at a huge rate, reaching the shores of the Atlantic Ocean at the end of the 7th century. In these empires, the religion was embraced by more and more people and became dominant in the caliphates. It is believed that Hispania was one of the former Roman provinces, where the Latin language and culture grew deep roots, and on April 30th, 711, Muslim general Tariq ibn Ziyad landed in Gibraltar. By the end of his campaign, most of the peninsula was brought under Islamic rule. Islam had been present in Hispania since the Umayyad conquest in the 8th century. As in other places of the Caliphate, many others embraced Islam. Many Muslims lived in the Iberian Peninsula called Al-Andalus. They were Arabs, Berbers, or local people who accepted the religion. Even if the Umayyad dynasty collapsed, parts of the peninsula were held by Muslim dynasties in the next centuries, and the Muslim majority existed more in the Spanish part than in the Portuguese part of land. Being the first nation on the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal emerged earlier than Spain, and it formed as a kingdom in the year of 1128. This happened after winning an important battle, in an effort led by Afonso Henriques, who proclaimed himself King of Portugal in the first half of the 12th century. This was part of Reconquista. He was recognized in 1143 by the King of Leon, Alfonso VII, and in 1179 by the Pope himself. What we know as Spain started with the union of the crowns of Castile and Aragon in 1479, although it was not until 1516 when they had a single unified king. But here is something interesting. In the War of Castilian Succession, Portugal supported Joanna, wife of King Alfonso V of Portugal, and Aragon supported Isabel, wife of Ferdinand, the future king of Ferdinand II of Aragon. We may consider this was a key point in history, because Isabella was recognized as Queen of Castile. If Joanna had won, Portugal and Castile would have been joined together, and Aragon could have remained as an independent kingdom. Until then, the word Hispania was only a geographic location, referring exclusively to the Iberian Peninsula. The Constitution of 1876 adopts for the first time the name Spain. Portugal, Castile, and Aragon were allies in the Reconquista.
1876? Wow, is that what they said? Hold on a second. Let me make sure I heard that right.
Iberian Peninsula. The Constitution of 1876 adopts for the first time the name Spain. Portugal, Castile, and Aragon were allies in the Reconquista, in which they reconquered land from the Muslim Moors, expanding south of the Iberian Peninsula. Portugal's reconquest was fully achieved by 1249, while Castile finished its reconquest in 1492. Following the first Spanish voyage of Christopher Columbus to the Caribbean in 1492, both states began acquiring territory in the New World. As a result of the 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas, Portugal acquired its most potentially important colony, Brazil. In 1578, King Sebastian of Portugal died in the Battle of Alsacer-Quibir against the Moroccans and the Turks. Having no heirs, the king was succeeded by his great-uncle Henry of Portugal, who reigned until his death. Henry also had no heirs, and his death triggered a great succession crisis, where the main claimants to the Portuguese throne were Philip II of Spain and Anthony, Prior of Credo. After the Spanish victory in the War of Portuguese Succession, Philip of Spain was crowned king in 1581, beginning a personal union between the two nations known as the Iberian Union, generating a...
So pretty much right now, it's like Portugal, they were established pretty much way before Spain. Like my reaction probably says, I didn't realize it took that long for Spain to get its name. Just because the history of them being over there in the Americas, South Americas, and be called the Spaniards or whatever. I thought that name would have came a lot earlier. So it can confuse me that they weren't called really Spain until the 1800s. Which is shocking. But Portugal, I guess they had their deep roots in there before Spain kind of got settled, I guess, and got themselves together. So I guess very interesting here.
A decline of the Portuguese Empire during the period of union. The Iberian Union lasted for almost 60 years until 1640, when the Portuguese Restoration War was initiated against Spain, and Portugal re-established the Portuguese dynasty under the Braganza. During the wars of the 18th century, which were often fought by the major powers to maintain European balance of power, even if Spain and Portugal usually found themselves on opposite sides, the Portuguese, courtesy of their long-standing alliance, aligned themselves with Great Britain, while Spain, throughout the Bourbon family compact, allied themselves to France. In 1762, during the 7 Years' War, Spain launched an unsuccessful invasion of Portugal. In 1777, there was a conflict between the two states over the borders of their possessions in South America. The War of the Oranges happened in 1801, in which Spanish forces, influenced by France, attacked and invaded Portugal. It was a precursor to the Peninsular Wars, resulting in the Treaty of Badajoz, the loss of Portuguese territory, in particular Olivenza, as well as ultimately setting the stage for the complete invasion of the Iberian Peninsula by Spanish and French forces. In 1807, the King of Spain and his French allies invaded successfully Portugal. However, the French decided to take over both countries, overthrowing the King of Spain and forcing the Portuguese royal family to escape.
Which is a huge mistake. You gotta watch Napoleonic Wars. I did that. Pretty much invading Spain, pretty much lost the entire like war for Napoleon. You know, because he has so many men invested in Spain when he didn't have to. Like, I'm not gonna go into it because this video there's nothing really to do with Napoleon, but you know, just connecting history, you know, it's crazy. You'd have to check out the Napoleonic series to understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I guess, you know, with the, you know, I guess I'll give my thoughts here near the end of the video.
Overthrowing the King of Spain and forcing the Portuguese royal family to escape under the Portuguese colony of Brazil. Spain and Portugal subsequently became allies for the first time in centuries, and allied with the British Army, they managed to get rid of the French by 1813, after a long conflict known as the Peninsular War.
And I would just tell them, it's mud.
France did.
I just want to say I'm actually really liking how he's doing things right now, like the visuals and his voice. You know, I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Long conflict known as the Peninsular War. France did a great damage to Spanish and Portuguese economies, but it wasn't just about that. Their reputation was altered too. Both lost their American colonies shortly after the end of the Peninsular War, which severely weakened their global power. Following their European struggle in which kings were overthrown, their own colonial empires in the New World collapsed. Colonies took profit from the internal problems, and through some independence wars, much of the New World was lost in the next decades. After the fall of Napoleon, both countries came close to war a number of times during the early 19th century. Portugal and Spain had been rival sea powers as early as the 14th century. Portugal initially was in a position to explore.
Yeah, they definitely both have sea powers because they both have like, dang, I'm on the spot now. I forget their names, but they both basically had people who were discovering the entire world and out there, you know, and yeah, I'm sorry, I forget the names. I have videos on it, but yeah. So it wasn't like, you know, one side can just take over the other side with their navy. They were both pretty strong.
The area facing the Atlantic. In successfully doing so, it discovered that Africa had been the Arab world's major source of gold, brought by camel caravans across the Sahara. But even if Spain and Portugal were rivals, their focus wasn't on their European lands. During the Age of Discovery, most wealth came from abroad. Both Spain and Portugal were more concerned with surveying in their new lands. Trading was a good source of money. New goods that came from Asia or Americas floated the European markets. Also, the huge intake of American gold was important for the Spanish economy. To create these trade deals, Spain had to defend their overseas possession. Starting with the 19th century, few plans were created about a possible union between Portugal and Spain. Some tried to spread the idea of Iberism in Portugal, to create 7 confederated republics, 5 in Spain and Lusitania Ulterior, and Lusitania Citerior in Portugal. Both First and Second Spanish republics had plans to invade Portugal, or to create the idea of an Iberian Republic, or an Iberian Union. Even the First Spanish Republic designed a federal constitution to include Portugal. The Second Spanish Republic designed the plan to invade Portugal during the Spanish Civil War. This failed as well. Portugal is mostly a hilly and not a very attractive country to conquer centuries ago, even if there were some little attempts. Of course, there were many important points that could have changed the history of these two countries. taking into account the historical context in which both countries were created, and how events played out throughout the many centuries of their existence. The reasons for the fact that Portugal wasn't conquered by Spain are many. The lack of a large interest for this land, the focus on the colonies, the diplomacy of Portugal at some points, the decisions that affected the Iberian Union, or the previous union of Castile and Aragon. The Spanish internal problems as well as other external factors created this situation. If you want to see more videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell button in order to be notified.
Wow. Also think is just because like they both had different allies. Like Portugal had like United Kingdom, and then you had Spain with the French, so you had outside powers that, had eyes on what was going on. And obviously, like the British don't want the French, Spain, to overcome the Portugal because they give French more power and leverage, and vice versa. As far as the British helping Portugal maybe take in parts of Spain, and the French didn't want to see that. So I think outside forces, I think also probably had a big say in why this didn't come to pass. Because the outside forces weren't going to let it happen either way. And I said, I guess they just had different views. I mean, I guess maybe some of the powers that be in each country thought, well, if we start believing more or thinking more like our enemy, then it'd be more likely that our country will be swallowed up and be connected with them because we have the same views. So we want to keep it separate so our people don't agree with what they believe in. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying, but definitely like just they're very obviously very complicated. I guess the I'm not sure the geography. I thought there's some reason there was like, I guess it was all like kind of mountain kind of a range. I thought there was maybe like a little more of a mountain range here, kind of cutting off to Spain from Portugal. I guess not. But anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. Man, maybe let me know if you guys have anything else to add in the comments. That'd be great. Definitely interesting stuff. And yeah, catch you guys in future videos. Peace. I'm out of here.